Welcome back. So if you go back to the loop section, let's loop that across and hear all the tracks now. And that's making sure that the output level isn't too loud. What we can do, seeing that it is sitting around about minus 3 dB on that master output, we could trim the oval output back to give us a bit more headroom. Or we could go back in and pull all these tracks down slightly. But I think using this input trim will work. And speaking more about the master output or master bus, it's using the K14 system. And like I sort of mentioned before, basically, when it's hovering around 0 dB, let's take a listen. Maybe input gain a bit more. When it's sitting around about there, that's meaning that it's actually at minus 14 dB. And this is just a system in place that makes sure you're making way for enough headroom during the peak levels of your audio, just so you're not sort of wasting that headroom and not getting an even balanced mix and trying to compete with the loudness wars where everyone's just pushing their levels up. You'll hear if I play back and push this far into the Regia how it's actually just adding some digital distortion to the sound and overdriving and clipping the signal. And that is not what you're going for. So ideally we can be sitting round about somewhere here before it reaches that 0.
And this meter here is the correlation meter.
Basically, if it's sitting all the way on the right, you've got a heavy mono signal. And we haven't done any panning, so it's probably going to be sitting round about there. But if you start doing some wide panning and got some different elements sitting on different sides of the stereo field, it's going to be jumping more across to the middle over here. It's meaning that you have quite a wide stereo mix. So you want to be somewhere in the middle so it's mono compatible, so it's sitting near the mono area, but jumping around so that you've got some stereo interest. But the big thing to watch out for is if it jumps across all the way to the other side here, that means you've probably got a phase issue with an instrument or multiple instruments in your composition. So if it goes into Regia, you really need to go and revisit your mix session and see what could be the problem. Now let me see if I can give you a demonstration of this. Let's take the acoustic guitars. We've got 2 acoustics here. So let's see now how we can take 2 tracks and make them out of phase so you can see what happens on the correlation meter. So on these acoustic guitars, I'm going to go up to this little tab over here. And this is something that I didn't quite show you in the mixer video when we first took a look around over here. If you click on this, it opens up to show some extra options. You've got a record enable. You've got the input monitoring. There's the monitor playback. You can set your inputs. These are the phase. So you can switch the phase on the left or the right, or channel 1 or channel 2. They sort of described over here. There's the isolate solo, the lock solo. You can set up and assign your VCAs here, change or set your output, and then add some comments. Now, I know that was a quick just run through. I just wanted to show you how many options you had here. We will go through some of these through some future videos. But more importantly, I want to work with these phase switching options over here. So here is 2 acoustic tracks. And I want to show you when I click and switch the phase on the one, how it changes the correlation meter. So let's first play back with the tracks unarmed or no phasing switched. It's quite mono over there, sitting all over there. But now if I switch the phase on the one track, the correlation jumps all the way onto the other side, showing you that there's a phasing issue. If I click this other one, it flips it right back there. Now, let me show you something else. So that's showing you that there would be a phase issue when it goes all the way over onto the other side. And now, remember I mentioned that if you play back and it's all the way over here, it's meaning that it's very mono. So that's mono. But if I take the pan and throw it to the one side and the other to the next, that's showing you a very wide signal. And if I go back here, then you've got it right back near the mono. Awesome. So I hope that gives you a good understanding. Basically here, it's very mono. If you make two sounds or a combination of sounds very wide, it's going to show a very wide mix in the middle. But if it goes all the way over onto this other side, there's possibly a phase issue that you need to address. Awesome. So I know we've covered quite a bit in this video, but I think it's a very good grounding to understand before getting into any mixes in Mixbus. You start off by making sure that you've got a good incoming signal coming in with the gain staging by using the metering, and then adjusting the faders or the trim knob to get a good signal between -12 and -24 dB. And when these tracks all sum together, you've got your master bus where you want it to sit somewhere around over here and not peaking too much on this K metering system. And this K metering system is just a good indicator to show your peak value and to make sure that you're not going too loud and you've still got enough headroom to work with. And obviously, we showed this correlation meter to check for any correlation or phase issues. Another way of metering your tracks is to use the meter bridge. You can get to this by going to the window, then down to meter bridge. Now you get this window that shows you all the meters for the tracks right next to each other. And you can check if any tracks are clipping, so it gives you a very nice overall view of your tracks. And you can just drag this bigger to get a more clearer view of everything. So let's just play from the start and you'll see this in action. So there are the acoustic guitars and you can see their levels are right about -15 dB. There's the piano. Vocals come in and mono tracks are like that, and then you can see your stereo tracks. Let's just skip to chorus and you can see all the meters going. So just a very nice view of your overall mix with these levels. You can see, for example, that this upright bass is actually quite loud. So I should probably go back in and adjust these. And when you stop playback, you see the remainder of that. And if you're playing and you click on things, you can reset their views. For example, on this vocal part of here, it comes in, I can click it, resets the view. So you might just want to reset to see if the peaks change at all. So it's really just a nice way to get an overall view of your meters and your levels with all your tracks in your project. Awesome. So now that you understand all of that, next let's take a look at how to use these mix buses that are available to us over here. Catch you in the next video.